How's it going, guys? Today we have a smile tutorial that ironically is not going to use smile too much, but today we're going to cover basic enemy editing, which does and does not include bosses. What I mean by that is some bosses can only be edited by using tile sets because their enemy graphics are included in the tile set. That we will not be covering. However, some bosses can be edited just like normal enemies, and we'll briefly touch over that. But we're not going to go too in-depth on that because that requires knowledge of tile maps and stuff like that. So this video is going to assume you're pretty familiar with how Smile works, whether that be 2.5 or RF. Both are really the same when it comes to enemy editing, especially because we're not really going to be using Smile too much. And it also assumes that you're familiar with your graphics editor. Even if you're not familiar with whatever graphics editor you're using, they're pretty easy to learn and they're pretty simple and noob friendly. And you can always search up a tutorial or two about that. So let's jump right in it. You're going to obviously need Smile. I'm using RF, but 2.5 works just the same. And you're going to need the graphics editor. I'm using Tile Layer Pro for this video, but something like YYChar or Fatality will work just the same. So let's just dive right into this. You see we have a room open with enemies, and we're going to be using this waiver as an example for most of our edits. So there's three ways you can approach making an enemy. You can either use your own custom drawn graphics for the enemy, which is technically the easiest way if you're good at art and stuff like that. However, if you're not gifted in art, there are plenty of other methods to use, which is method 2, which you can use bits and pieces of other enemies to create something completely new, or you can just use an entire enemy sprite, such as a Metroid, splatter this on that, and then have a Metroid flying around like Waver. And then the third example of how you could do this is actually using tile sets to make an enemy, which we'll go over last, since that requires a large amount of creativity because tile sets are not made to be on an enemy. So let's just dive right into this. We're going to need a right click to open the enemy editor, and look at this little address right here. This is a low ROM address, so if you were to go in your graphics editor and hit go to, it wouldn't go anywhere, or if it did, it wouldn't go to the right spot because that's not a PC address. So Smile RF has the advantage of having a conversion table right here. You see I already have it typed out, and that equals 170600 on a PC address. But if you're using 2.5, don't worry, just pull up Lunar Address, which is another neat program which does conversions. Just make sure you have low ROM PC checked, the second option, and then if your ROM doesn't have a header, which it shouldn't, uncheck that. So same address, 170600. Let's go ahead and go there. I already had the address typed in, so that's why I just clicked that. And you see the waiver graphics are right here, and you may be thinking, hey, what's that all about? Those palettes don't match up. Don't worry, these palettes aren't actually from the game, it just loads the graphics itself. So to fix that, to make it easier, just export enemy palette, and where is it? Load. Oops, I just did something. I'll have to fix that later. And boom, there you go. Now, since we're going to start with example 1, I'm just going to draw a silly little sprite and show you how that works. But you see there's multiple frames of the waiver. This is basically its animation, and it's really not hard to figure out how the animation works. You can see it's spinning. So I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is the snout of the ones that are cut off. So it's pretty simple stuff. Some enemies you really have to understand how the animation works in order to make proper sprites, but this one is pretty simple, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and open a copy ROM because this is going to be important for the second example, but we won't worry about that right now. So basically, I'm just going to cover up these with free space blank tiles. Well, this technically isn't free space. I'm pretty sure these are all zeros, I believe. Free space will generally be all one color. Yeah, it's going to be free space because this tile here, if you load a palette, is going to be the transparent color. So that's really important to know. So as you see, this is a Metroid cap, Metroid head, or whatever you want to call it. When you put its nuclei in there, any blue space left over is going to be transparent in game. So if you were to not put the brains in there at all and just have the head, you would see through it because it's filled with transparent color. So that's something to keep in mind. And since we're just drawing a smiley face, we're not going to need to worry about a palette right now, but palettes are pretty simple, and I don't think I'll need to touch too much on them, but I will. So we got that going. Let's go ahead and just drag the eyes to each animation, and then get rid of all the rest. Okay, let's get rid of all the old waiver tiles, and I'm just dragging the tiles over it. So if you're using Tile Pro, you can just drag. Not sure how the other ones work. Pretty sure it's the same thing. And there's that. Okay, we're gonna give it some simple animations. So, whoops. Well, I need to compare right here. That is 1, 2, 3 tiles away, so I'm going to start there and then 2 tiles away from there. This is just for precision, even though it's a silly sprite. Just for precision purposes, so it doesn't look too silly. So we're going to, if you haven't seen what I'm doing so far, I'm just going to make the face gradually frown. It's only going to be 3 frames and then they're going to repeat. So, and then let's just flip that, and then we got that. So then it's gonna go back. And we got ourselves our amazing professional pixel art custom enemy. So if you look in Smile, the changes will have taken effect. I'm not sure if Smile 2.5 does the same thing, to where it instantly takes effect, but I'm pretty sure it does. If not, you can always just reopen the ROM. And so you can see the changes took effect. Let's just close out of that and load into the room and see what we got. And let's kill that guy. Oh, killed our waiver. Let's slow that down a bit. There you go, you got a silly little smiley face. It's frowning and smiling. So that's just a poor example for you know, drawing your own tiles. Generally, you want to do something more advanced than that, I'd imagine. But that I can't really tell you how to draw your own tiles. That's just a basic example how that works. So we want our original waiver back. So this is a useful thing about having a copy ROM. If you end up screwing up, just Control-C, Control-V, bada bing. Okay. Now we're going to demonstrate example 2, where we just use other enemy sprites. We're going to demonstrate example 2 twice in 2 different ways. One is making up an entire new enemy using random bits of enemies, and another is just going to be replacing its sprite, which is what we're going to do. So right now we're going to get Baby Metroid. We're going to Control-C that, and Control-Paste. Not Control-Paste, Control-V. Let's go ahead and get rid of these so we don't have to worry about them. And that line around it I'll take care of. Just get all of our sprites that we're going to use over here and in place. Okay. those are the 3 sprites that are going to rotate animations. So let's just clear out that real quick for each. And again, don't worry about the palette, that's something easily fixable. I can probably just make a makeshift example palette that doesn't look too horrible, just to show you making palettes isn't that difficult, especially for like a small enemy like this. But to make it really good and look to match your hack's theme or personality or atmosphere, you're generally going to want to spend a decent amount of time on it just so you can get it right. But like I said, for enemies like this, it's not hard to make their palette. It takes maybe 5 minutes if you want to make a good one. For enemy this size, for bigger ones, you generally want to spend more time on it. But again, that all depends on skill level. So there we go, we got that done. Oh, actually, we done goofed. Did not copy that one correctly. And now you have to watch me do that again. And again, let's see if RF will cooperate this time. If not, then I will just use 2.5, but again, there's no difference. I just prefer to show off RF. Again, let's mess with the palette. You can see Metroid's membrane is using all the purples, so it looks like it's using these 3 purples. So there's a way to generally test that. You just do that. So that's okay. See, the purple actually wouldn't look that bad, so if we can change the nuclei to a better color where it doesn't do that, then I think we're good. This part is generally supposed to be really red, so let's just make that a dark red on the original, because that matches more the original Metroid's palette. And I think these are other parts in the nuclei. Let's see, is it changing anything? It's changing the other enemies, but not this one, so we don't need to worry about that color. This one is having effect though, so let's make that not so dark. Let's make that. Let's get rid of those. Make it a darker. Let's actually increase the world. Let's increase the bit on that. Oh no, let's increase a bit on that, and then decrease that. We want that side to be darker. And then what is something using that color? Yeah, it is. Again, let's increase that once more. Okay. Now let's see what color these guys are using. They're using pinks. So we wanted to get it into a talon-like color, so just let's see, how's that? That's not bad. That's a Metroid palette. Let's just get that little green to white. So it looks like a reflection. There we go. That looks fine. Let's go ahead and save that palette. Now let's try once again opening that room in RF, see if it wants to cooperate. I don't know why it wasn't earlier, because this is the second time I'm actually doing this video because I goofed earlier. So I'm not sure why it's having issues now. And there are the changes. Let's go ahead and import the palette. This is the one we changed. Yep. Save the palette. Save that DNA. Let's go ahead and save the room, because why not? And there we go. Okay. And see, that doesn't look bad at all. Not a bad palette. You see we got a little Metroid hopping around, give it a different feel. Anybody who's played Super Metroid a lot probably know it's waiver AI, but that's not the point. It's to give your hack a more personal touch, a better atmospheric feel if that's what you're going for. So that's another way you can do it. Now we're going to make another example of example 2. That doesn't even make sense. I'm going to show you another example of how you can make enemies from other enemies, but this one's from bits and pieces. So we're going to mess with this Deskiga. I'm not sure if this is the giant Deskiga or not. There is one way you can check. We're just going to go to a Norfair room. Let's see if I hit the right one. No, but I'm actually really close. Let's just go and enter it directly right there. Let's exit out of that. Let's find its graphics. AED120. Okay, let's do some conversion. Get out of here, Cortana. AED120. That's 175120. 1751. Oops, that was an accident. Oh, it's right there, 1751, and then I guess that would be 20 right there. So yep, this is the Deskiga, and we're gonna do some things with that. So let's go ahead and just get this stuff off my screen, and let's see what we can do for our head. We got this little guy right here. This, I think it's a Garuda. I think that will do fine for our head. Let's go ahead and copy that bad boy. Place him. Got a head. Let's go ahead and, now let's copy the second one. Just so we have two different frames for our head. And we're going to have to do some custom drawing ourselves on this in a second. This leg is going to give us a problem. Can we extend this? Nope, it jumbles it up. Okay, that's okay. Let's go this way. Nope, again. Jumbles it up. I don't want any of these head antennae. We're not going to use that at all, so let's go ahead and get rid of those. Those are just going to be nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Deskiga's palette, just so you know we have something to refer to, rather than this weird red palette that doesn't really go with it at all. Nope, we already saved the palette. So this is the one we want. Okay. The head's not looking so bad with that palette, but the legs might after we find something to use. I'm going to do something kind of funky, hopefully, so you can get the idea of the kind of cool things you can make. Ooh. This is Gold Chorizo. This is a boss you can actually edit this way. I'll touch over that after this example. Let's see what can we use out of this. It may be hard to tell what you're looking at, but don't worry. This is actually one of his legs, I believe, or an arm piece. Either way is something we can use. Let's copy that and use that as the upper leg piece, which you see there's only one. And there's two leg pieces down here, one from when he's in the air, which is this one I believe, and this one is when he's on the ground. And you see this one's chopped in two because, you know, size. So now I just need to find, that's a foot, can't tell what that is. So let's go ahead and load Gold Chorizo's palette, just so we can find this quicker. I'm not sure what room he's in exactly. I believe it's this one. And it is. So let's just grab that. That just looks like palette for his glowing ball. Oh well, we can see what we can get for that. Let's load. Okay, at least we can tell what we're looking at now. Let's see, we need a leg. This looks like touching down on something, so we might use that. This looks like it's in the air, so we might use that one too. Okay, we'll use that for when he's in the air, which I'm going to have to put into 2 pieces, so I'm just going to set that there and then erase it because free space. We're actually going to have to copy this way. Right now the palette looks kind of gross, but we'll worry about that. Okay, so we got an air piece as soon as foot's in the air, and this looks like when his foot is touching the ground. Did not copy the piece. There we go. So we got that, but now we got a little issue right there. Let's see, do we have a smaller leg joint looking thing? I think his foot immediately connects to after that. I am not sure. That could make that work. Just do some custom drawing. But this is basically, you know, what doing this is all about. You just toy with stuff, make it work. Now let's see, let's just do an example because this is going to fit, and since we have free space up here, it won't actually harm it if we just put something right there for comparison's sake. Okay, that actually fits rather well. We just got a little issue right there, which we can do by just, yeah, just like that. That won't, yeah, that doesn't hurt anybody. That looks kind of weird, so we're just gonna trim that down a bit. Do the same thing over here. There we go, that doesn't look too bad. Now let's work on that palette. Let's see, since this is using all purples and some of that, let's see how many purples is the face using. So we're just gonna mess with this a bit, see if the face uses this purple at all. It is not. So I don't think these 3 purples are used for its face. Nope, take that back. This one isn't. This one isn't. So keep in mind those. I'll go ahead and make those a bright, obnoxious color, so we know that these are available colors. How about this guy? He is used in the face, unfortunately. He is as well, very subtle use, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure he is. Yes, the main color, and then this guy is also okay. These we don't really have to worry about, that'll be eyes. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors to work with the legs. That's not bad. So already the legs don't look that bad. We could actually have it match its skin color, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to want the outer outline to be dark. This may look a little wonky, but again, this is just to show you what you can do. I'm not going to make it look perfect. That can be done by you on your own, maybe. But I'm just going to make it not look absolutely terrible and see what we get. So again, this is the outline of them, so why not just do that. And as you can see, the leg is actually not looking that bad despite not spending much time on the color. So it kind of shows how easy this can be. But don't take that for granted because it can also be really difficult depending on what enemies you're working with. So we got that piece. And the reason I'm just drawing over it instead of just changing these colors to its palette is it's just quicker than moving all of its palette to match exactly the same thing. If you find it easier just to change the palette to match, that's fine. But sometimes you won't have enough palette space in the palette to do that because so many other colors are being used. But in this case, we would have had enough space. But to me, that's just more work. that we don't need to do. Then we can just draw over it. And if we wanted to use that extra palette space later, we can, if we change our mind. Hypothetically speaking. So we're nearly done here. We're gonna have to draw another little thing for the legs. Let's get rid of that before I forget that's not part of it. And I did forget because I did just draw on that. Silly me. Let's draw that guy darker. He's supposed to be a lighter color. So this is turning out pretty nice. But let's see what it looks like once we boot up the ROM. This is gonna look interesting for sure. Okay. It's all looking nice. Now this part connects to his head, so we're gonna need to draw something on the head that just connects to him. So let's just, I don't know, draw some colors. Yeah, this is pretty bad drawing, but I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Again, because this is just an example. It's not meant to be a masterpiece. This side's already against that, so we don't have to worry about that, but this side is not. So let's go ahead. We might have to do a thing. Let's see. Yeah, we may have to draw some over here as well, because that other side is going to look weird without it. Those don't match up, but we'll see what it looks like. Let's just go with that. We have to finish this part. How big did I have? I had 4 tiles, right? Yeah, you can already see there's an inconsistency because that's only 2 tiles. So let's move that down to 4. Add some color to it. That looks interesting. Let's just see what we got here. Let's load back into the Deskiga room. Let's go and save the palette we got. Actually, we don't need to do that because they're all using the same thing. I didn't actually use any of the other palette, so that's nice. Let's just check the graphics. Yep, that's gonna look really weird when we load in. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Now let's load in. Thank you for not crashing. And now that is a thing. Slow that down. You can see the feet are kind of weird when they jump. And we seem to have got mixed up the standing and sitting palette. Sprites. So why don't we just go ahead and fix that so it looks better. So this is actually the in-air palette. The in-air sprite. So let's just throw that to the side since we're just going to be using that right away. And that. Okay, we can just drag those ones around. There you go. Let's actually flip those because they. No, wait. Okay, what was I doing? Okay, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and flip these around because they looked a little wonky a second ago. So they're loaded like that. So we're actually gonna put those ones over there. These ones over here. Now, if you're already understanding how the tile mapping works, that's not gonna work correctly. So we're just gonna flip the tiles. And the only reason I'm doing this is because they looked really weird. They look like they were flipped incorrectly. So we're just going to see if that fixes it. So let's see what this does. make sure it takes effect. Okay, looks like it did. Let's try this again. I'm just doing this to make sure Smile won't crash. Usually if you save a room, and it works, then it won't crash. So let's go ahead and slow that down again and see what we got here. Okay. Some interesting things going on. You see we drew that incorrectly. Should have drew it on the other side to connect the head up properly, but that's okay. And you see we got a little issue when he's landing. It has that weird line. That's fine too. We really don't have to worry about that, but since it's just an example, but with some work, this could be a really cool looking enemy. Something similar that I did in my hack, where I used Torizo legs in that head, but it was on a smaller Deskiga, and the palette was edited a bit to make it look like a muscular dude. So, but that is a thing. It's just another example of how you can use other enemies. And now that we covered that, let's go ahead and talk about bosses real quick. Bosses like these, this is Golden Torizo, and I'm pretty sure Bomb Torizo as well. And this is Ridley. You see they're all broken up into pieces. And as I said in the beginning of the video, knowledge of tile maps will really help with this, because it tells you exactly what's going to be where, every animation. But you technically don't need to know tile maps to do this. If you were just to play around long enough, you would eventually be able to figure things out for yourself. But as you can see, they're all broken into different parts, which can actually allow for what just happened, some really advanced stuff. So like I could make one of his arms a banana, for example, and his other arm would be fine, because I'm pretty sure they use two different tile maps. I'm not sure, but I can make one of his arms a banana, and it would connect to his body just fine. I wouldn't need to do any additional drawing, because how it's set up, his arm is already connected to his body, just because of how the perception of the game is and how it's set up in the tile maps. So again, I'm not going to cover too much of that. It could be in a later video possibly, because that would just make this video excessively longer, a lot longer than it already is. So let's go ahead and show you my last example. If you notice the file name, it actually gives me an address for a reason, so I don't forget where this enemy is. I actually put the wrong address, I forgot a 0, it's 290,000, and then it's a little lower after that. So we got this little bugger here. You may not know what that is, and that's because it's going to be a custom enemy entirely for my hack, spoilers. And I also got a nice palette going on. Now right off the bat, you may notice something, you may not, but I'm just going to open up another file, and then once I load that up, you should notice it pretty much right away once I point it out. So we're just going to make that into an SNES format, and I did not export a palette, I don't think. Let's see. Did I? I did. Good thinking me. Let's move these out of the way so we have room for this guy. And let's scroll down. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, tile sets can be used to also make enemies. So if you notice something, I'm just dragging these over here just to show you. Yeah, these are spike tiles, and I use spike tiles to make an enemy. So this also incorporates example 1, where I drew these myself, and I drew the corners, and I did a little bit. This enemy isn't finished though, because you can see there's some holes and stuff I need to fix, and probably make the face look better. But yeah, I pretty much just use spike tiles and its basic palette, and I ended up getting a really nice looking enemy out of that. If you've played Krishna or Homnag, you probably understand why it's called Homnag, because this particular ROM is named after this, so I remember what it's there for, so I don't delete it. So that's one example of that. We're also going to do load up one of my own hacks so I can show you another example of how tile sets can help. Again, you're gonna have to be really creative with how you use these. This method has actually been done before in Phazon hack in pretty much the exact same way, but with a different tile. But I'm gonna go find that room. This room. That's not the right room. Spoilers, don't look at the map. Don't look at the map. Yeah. No, that doesn't do anything because you can just come back to it later in the video or by pausing it or whatever. So spoilers, but luckily it doesn't tell you where you can go to my hack. So these little buggers, let's go ahead and load in. And then look at that. You got little E-tank dudes moving around, and another example of using other enemies. You got a side hopper head. And yeah, you see you got little E-tank dudes, and also a tiling error. That's nice. You're gonna have to fix that, but yeah. So pretty cool stuff you can do. That's the basic gist of enemy editing. It's really mostly you're just playing around. Actually, I want to fix that mistake real quick. Let's just do that. I'll find a better solution later. Most of it's just you playing around, seeing what you like, seeing what works and doesn't work. Some enemies are easy, such as these 4x4 enemies. You can just replace it with another 4x4 enemy. For instance, you could just copy this guy's head, place it on that, and you have a floating head as a refill bug, rather. And stuff like that. Things like these, you can also use the tile set for this guy as well. I forgot about that, but I won't show that off because I've already done enough spoilers. But yeah, you can do really a lot of things and really make your hack stand out just by having your own custom enemies thrown in, even if they're not completely custom, like sprited by you. Just having them like changed around. Like if you were to put this on a mock droid sprite, there would definitely be a change of pace and definitely throw the player for a loop, which may or may not be what you want to go for. So I hope this helped you guys. I try to give as many examples as possible. That Skiga example could have definitely been worked on, but for the sake of not having the video be excessively long, I'm not going to really spoof it up. I just want to give you an example of what you can do. But the other enemies I already had done because they're for my hack, so you have a general idea of what you can really do. You can really make it stand out, like I said a second ago. So, like I said, hope this helped you guys, and have a good one. Happy hacking.